Picture this. It's the holiday season. Everyone's gathering, celebrating, making resolutions. But there's someone in your life who's not celebrating your growth. They're calculating, watching, waiting for the exact moment when your guard drops. And that moment? It's now. Because the holidays aren't just a time for joy and connection. For manipulators, they're prime hunting season. You've been told that empathy is your weakness, that caring too much makes you vulnerable, that people who feel deeply are easy targets for those who feel nothing. And maybe you've believed that. Maybe you've spent years thinking that being an empath means being a victim, but that belief is what's kept you trapped, because the truth is the exact opposite. Empathy isn't your weakness, it's your weapon. And once you understand how to use it, manipulators don't just lose their power over you, they lose permanently. Because an empath who understands the game doesn't just defend, they dismantle. And the manipulator never sees it coming. This is the empath's reversal. The moment when sensitivity stops being a liability and becomes strategic dominance. Most people think empaths are soft, emotional, easily controlled, but a trained empath is the most dangerous opponent a manipulator will ever face. Because you don't just feel what they're doing, you see the entire structure of how they operate. And once you see it, you can collapse it. Let's start with why the holidays are manipulation season. It's not random. Manipulators don't intensify their tactics because they're feeling festive. They intensify because the conditions are perfect. Family gatherings, social obligations, the cultural pressure to be kind, forgiving, and generous. All of it creates an environment where saying no feels impossible. And manipulators know this. This is the holiday leverage. The manipulator uses the season's emotional weight against you. They know you're more likely to give in when everyone's watching, more likely to stay quiet to avoid ruining the holidays, more likely to tolerate behavior you'd never accept in July. The season isn't about connection for them. It's about opportunity, and you've been conditioned to hand it to them. Sarah dreaded Christmas every year, not because she didn't love her family, but because her brother always used the gatherings to humiliate her. Small digs disguised as jokes, comparisons to her more successful siblings. And when she tried to push back, he'd play the victim. "It's Christmas, Sarah. Why are you being so sensitive?" And everyone would side with him, because the holidays were supposed to be peaceful. And she was the one disrupting that peace by refusing to absorb his attacks. But here's what Sarah didn't understand yet. Her brother wasn't clever. He was predictable. Manipulators operate from a script. And once you recognize the script, you stop reacting to the performance. You start directing it. Because the manipulator's power comes entirely from your emotional reaction. Take that away, and they have nothing. This is the reaction economy. Manipulators feed on your responses. Your anger validates them. Your tears give them control. Your explanations become ammunition. They don't actually care about the content of what they're saying. They care about what it makes you do. And as long as you're reacting, they're winning. But the second you stop feeding the system, the entire dynamic collapses. Emma's mother used guilt like a weapon. Every holiday season, the same pattern. "I guess I'll just be alone this year since you're too busy for your own mother." Emma would panic, cancel her plans, show up feeling resentful, and her mother would spend the entire visit criticizing her job, her relationship, her appearance. The guilt was the hook. The criticism was the payoff. And Emma kept taking the bait. Until she didn't. One year, Emma responded differently. Her mother sent the guilt message, and Emma replied, "I understand you're feeling lonely. I'm available on the 27th if you'd like to get together then." No apology, no justification.
just a boundary, stated calmly. Her mother escalated, more guilt, veiled threats, emotional manipulation cranked to maximum. And Emma didn't react. She repeated the boundary. Same tone, same clarity. Her mother tried for 3 days, and then she stopped. Because without Emma's panic, without her guilt-driven compliance, the manipulation had no fuel. The system required Emma's emotional reaction to function. And when Emma removed herself from the emotional economy, her mother had 2 choices: accept the boundary or lose access. She chose the boundary because even manipulators will adapt when their tactics stop working. This is the empathic advantage. You feel their tactics before they land. You sense the setup, the emotional bait, the manipulation in real time. Most people don't. They react first and realize what happened later. But empaths process emotional information faster than manipulators can deploy it. You're 3 steps ahead. You just haven't been taught to use that advantage strategically. Here's where most empaths go wrong. They feel the manipulation and they try to fix it. They explain, they reason, they try to help the manipulators see what they're doing. But manipulators already know what they're doing. Your explanations aren't landing because they're not confused. They're deliberate. And every second you spend trying to make them understand is a second they're using to strengthen their position. Jason's father was a master at playing the victim. Every family gathering, he'd find a way to make himself the center of sympathetic attention. Health scares that disappeared after the holidays. Financial crises that required Jason's help but were never quite as serious as described. And Jason, being empathic, would jump in every time, trying to help, trying to fix, trying to make his father feel supported, until Jason realized his father didn't want support. He wanted control. The crises weren't real problems seeking real solutions. They were tools to keep Jason emotionally tethered and financially drained. And once Jason saw the pattern clearly, he stopped responding to the content and started responding to the structure. The next crisis came, and Jason said, "That sounds difficult. I trust you'll handle it." And then he did nothing. His father escalated. The crisis got worse in the retelling, more dramatic, more urgent. Jason didn't budge. "I believe in your ability to solve this." His father tried anger, then guilt, then silent treatment. None of it worked. Because Jason wasn't refusing to help out of cruelty. He was refusing to participate in a system designed to drain him. And without his participation, the system couldn't function. This is structural withdrawal. You're not fighting the manipulator, you're removing the foundation their tactics depend on. Manipulators need your emotional investment to operate. They need you to care about their approval, their opinion, their emotional state. The second you stop investing emotionally, their leverage disappears. And they can't manipulate someone who's no longer playing the game. But here's the part that most advice gets wrong. People will tell you to just stop caring or cut them off completely. And sometimes that's the right move. But often, especially during the holidays, you're dealing with people you can't fully remove from your life. Family, coworkers, long-term social circles. And the answer isn't to become cold or numb. The answer is to care differently. This is detached compassion. You can acknowledge someone's feelings without absorbing them. You can recognize their pain without making it your responsibility to fix. You can be kind without being available for manipulation. Detached compassion isn't cruelty. It's boundaries with empathy intact. It's the difference between saying, "I see you're upset and I'll do anything to fix it," and "I see you're upset and I trust you'll work through it."
Megan's sister weaponized her anxiety every holiday. She'd create chaos, then demand that Megan drop everything to manage it. And Megan, feeling guilty for having her life more together, would comply. Until the year Megan said, "I can see you're stressed. That sounds really hard. I'm sure you'll figure it out." Her sister was stunned. Where was the panic? Where was the rescue mission? Megan wasn't being cruel. She was being boundaried. And her sister, for the first time, had to solve her own problem. Here's what happens when an empath stops participating in manipulation. The manipulator doesn't just lose one tactic, they lose their entire framework, because manipulation is a system, not a series of isolated moves. It requires your compliance at multiple points. Your guilt, your fear of conflict, your need to be liked, your tendency to over-explain. Remove any one of those and the system starts breaking. Remove all of them and it collapses entirely. This is the collapse point. Manipulators can't adapt to someone who refuses to engage with their tactics. They're not used to people who stay calm when provoked, who don't explain when accused, who don't chase when given the silent treatment. Their playbook is designed for people who react predictably. And empaths, once trained, are the least predictable opponents they'll ever face. Most people think manipulators are smart, strategic masterminds, but they're not. They're repetitive. They run the same plays over and over because those plays work on most people. But the second you recognize the pattern, they become completely transparent. And once you see them clearly, you can't unsee it. Every tactic becomes obvious. Every setup becomes predictable. And you stop being reactive. You start being strategic. David's boss loved to manipulate during the holiday season. Last-minute requests framed as urgent, guilt trips about team spirit, emotional leverage disguised as leadership, and David, wanting to be seen as reliable, would comply. Until he realized compliance wasn't earning respect, it was inviting more manipulation. So David changed his response pattern. The next urgent request came. David replied, "I can handle that on January 3rd. Let me know if that works." His boss pushed back. "This needs to be done before the holidays." David stayed calm. "I understand it feels urgent. My availability is January 3rd. His boss escalated, tried authority, tried guilt. David didn't waver, and eventually his boss backed down. Because David wasn't refusing out of rebellion. He was enforcing a boundary with calm certainty. And manipulators can't leverage calm certainty. They need emotional reactivity to work with. Here's the shift that changes everything. Empaths have been taught that feeling deeply means suffering deeply, that sensitivity equals vulnerability. But sensitivity is only a vulnerability when you're untrained. Once you understand how to process emotional information without absorbing it, sensitivity becomes perception, and perception is power. This is empathic clarity. You feel what's happening, but you don't internalize it. You sense the manipulation attempt, but you don't take it personally. You recognize the emotional bait, but you don't bite. Most people are flying blind in emotional interactions. They don't realize they're being manipulated until hours or days later, but you feel it in real time. And that real-time awareness gives you the ability to choose your response instead of defaulting to reaction. Rachel used to think her emotional sensitivity was a curse. She'd walk into a room and immediately feel the tension, know who was upset, sense the unspoken conflict, and she'd spend all her energy trying to fix it, managing everyone's emotions, absorbing their stress, making herself smaller so others could feel bigger. And manipulators loved her for that, because she was doing all their emotional labor for free. Until Rachel realized her sensitivity wasn't the problem. Her response to it was. She didn't need to stop feeling. She needed to stop fixing. So she started practicing something radical, feeling without acting. She'd sense the tension in the room and just observe it, not absorb it, not fix it, just notice it. And what she discovered was that most of the emotional chaos she'd been managing wasn't hers to manage. It belonged to the people creating it.
This is emotional ownership. You're responsible for your feelings, not everyone else's. And when you stop taking responsibility for emotions that aren't yours, manipulators lose their primary tool. Because most manipulation relies on making you feel responsible for the manipulator's emotional state. If they're upset, you're supposed to fix it. If they're disappointed, you're supposed to accommodate. But none of that is true. Their emotions are theirs, and your refusal to manage them isn't cruelty, it's clarity. The holiday season intensifies this dynamic because the cultural narrative is that you're supposed to keep everyone happy.
supposed to smooth over conflict, supposed to sacrifice your boundaries for peace. And manipulators use that narrative as cover. They escalate their tactics, knowing that you're less likely to push back when grandma's watching and everyone just wants a nice holiday. But here's the truth you need to internalize. Keeping the peace isn't the same as keeping yourself small. Real peace doesn't require your silence. It doesn't require your compliance. It doesn't require you to absorb someone else's dysfunction so they can stay comfortable. Real peace is built on honest boundaries. And if enforcing a boundary disrupts the family gathering, the boundary isn't the problem. The behavior that necessitated the boundary is. Lauren's uncle made inappropriate comments every Thanksgiving, and every year the family told her to ignore it. That's just how he is. Don't make a scene. It's one day. So Lauren stayed quiet until the year she didn't. He made his usual comment, and Lauren said clearly and calmly, "That's inappropriate. Don't speak to me that way." The table went silent. Her uncle was shocked. Her family was uncomfortable. And for a moment, Lauren felt like she'd done something wrong. But she hadn't. She'd done something necessary. And the discomfort wasn't her fault. It was the inevitable result of someone finally naming a pattern everyone had been enabling. Her uncle tried to laugh it off. "That's just how I am. I was just joking." Lauren didn't waver. "It wasn't funny. Don't do it again." And he didn't, because Lauren's calm certainty made it clear the behavior was no longer tolerable, and everyone at the table had just witnessed a boundary being enforced without trauma, without cruelty, with simple clarity. This is boundary enforcement. You don't need to be loud. You don't need to be aggressive. You just need to be clear and consistent. State the boundary. Hold the boundary. Don't explain. Don't justify. Don't apologize. The boundary exists because you decided it exists. And that's the only reason it needs. Here's where empaths gain an unbeatable advantage. Manipulators expect you to be emotional, reactive, easy to provoke. But when you respond with calm, detached clarity, they don't have a countermove. Their tactics are designed to trigger emotion. And when you stay emotionally neutral, their entire playbook becomes useless. They can't guilt you if you're not absorbing guilt. They can't provoke you if you're not reacting. They can't manipulate you if you're not playing. Nathan's ex used to manipulate him through intermittent contact. She'd disappear for weeks, then reappear during the holidays with some crisis that required his help. And Nathan, still emotionally attached, would drop everything until he realized the pattern. The crises were always timed to moments when he was moving on. The contact was always designed to pull him back in. It wasn't about needing help. It was about maintaining control. So the next time she reached out, Nathan didn't respond. No anger, no explanation, just silence. She escalated. More messages, more urgency. Nathan stayed silent. And eventually she stopped. Because Nathan had removed himself from the system entirely. He wasn't refusing to help out of spite. He was refusing to participate in a dynamic that drained him. And without his participation, the manipulation couldn't function.
This is total disengagement. Sometimes the only way to win is to stop playing. Not every manipulator deserves a response. Not every tactic deserves acknowledgement. Sometimes the most powerful move is complete withdrawal, and manipulators hate it because they need your attention to operate. Take that away, and they're powerless.
But here's the most important piece. The reason empaths can destroy manipulators isn't because empaths are cruel or vengeful. It's because empaths, once awake to the game, have something manipulators will never have: genuine self-awareness. Manipulators are running on autopilot, repeating the same patterns because those patterns worked in the past. They're not self-reflective. They're not adaptive. They're just persistent. But you're different. You feel the game. You see the structure. And once you see it, you can dismantle it without effort. Because you're not fighting the manipulator, you're simply refusing to be the resource they're trying to extract from. And without that resource, they move on. Because manipulators are efficient. They don't waste time on people who won't yield. They find easier targets. This is the final truth. You were never the problem. Your empathy was never the weakness. The only thing that made you vulnerable was not understanding how to wield what you have. But now you do. You understand that empathy without boundaries is self-destruction. You understand that feeling deeply doesn't mean accepting poor treatment. You understand that the holidays aren't an excuse for tolerating manipulation. So this season, when the manipulator in your life intensifies their tactics, when they use the family gathering as cover, when they try to guilt you into compliance, you're going to do something different. You're not going to react. You're not going to explain. You're not going to absorb their dysfunction to keep the peace. You're going to feel what they're doing in real time. You're going to recognize the setup, and you're going to respond with calm, detached clarity. Or you're not going to respond at all, because you're done playing a game you never agreed to. You're done being the emotional resource for people who drain you. You're done shrinking so manipulators can stay comfortable. And here's what happens next. They'll escalate. They'll try harder. They'll deploy every tactic in their playbook. And you're going to stay steady, calm, boundaried. Not out of anger, out of clarity. Because you finally understand their tactics only work if you cooperate. And you're done cooperating. The holidays will come. The manipulators will try. And you'll dismantle them without saying a word. Because an empath who understands the game doesn't need to fight. They just need to stop participating. And the entire structure collapses. You're not a victim. You never were. You were just untrained. But now you're awake. And an awake empath is the one thing a manipulator can't handle. Because you see them completely. And once seen, they lose all power. So go into this season knowing you're not the target anymore. You're the one who sees the trap. And traps don't work on people who see them. The manipulator's power was always an illusion, and you just stopped believing in it.